Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our Subsea TV, our YouTube channel dedicated to discuss the most relevant subjects for the Brazilian shipbuilding and offshore industries. If you are interested in the Brazilian shipbuilding and offshore industries, please subscribe on our channel. In name of Subsea, I would like to welcome you to our webinar on decommissioning of offshore assets and subsea structures, organized in close collaboration with our partners, the United Kingdom Department of International Trade, DIT, the DECOM North Sea, DNS, and the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, UFRJ, COPY. For who doesn't know us, Subsea is the Brazilian Society of Marine Engineering Naval Architecture. Created in 1962, we are a totally non-profit organization which aims to promote ocean engineering and offshore engineering in Brazil by disseminating knowledge for more than 59 years now. We are a forum to discuss technology and innovation to be used by the Brazilian industry. Please also note that Subsea is not only composed by marine engineers and naval architects, but a technical society to all of those individuals and companies working in the sector with the desire to participate in the technical development of our industry. So, you can participate. You can help us to make the difference. If you are interested, please join us. In Subsea, we have different technical committees trying to map the most relevant challenges for our industry, and you can be part of this effort. Our today's webinar is dedicated to decommissioning of Brazil offshore production units and the really significant opportunities this activity is generating. As per the latest announcements you have heard, the commissioning projects already started to be unlocked. I hope this webinar can provide to you the most up-to-date information on the current scenario and the opportunities in this area in Brazil, as well as to share the United Kingdom large and recognized experience on this field. I hope you can discuss about the pipeline of the commissioning projects and their main challenges, and learn about innovative solutions to reduce the cost of the commissioning operation. As this webinar has been organized in close and strong collaboration with our partner, the United Kingdom Department of International Trade, I have the honor to introduce the Deputy Consul General of the British Consulate in Rio de Janeiro and Head of DIT Rio de Janeiro, Mr. Tony Preston, for his welcome and opening remarks. Tony?
Thank you, President Portela. And hello, everybody. Bom dia, tudo bem to those in Brazil, and good afternoon to those joining us from the UK. Wherever you are, I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and well. My name is Tony Preston. I'm the UK's Deputy Consul General here in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm really delighted to be participating in today's webinar. And the theme could really not be more opportune: the decommissioning of subsea assets and offshore structures. The search for new technologies and innovation on decommissioning is an area of high priority for us to contribute to energy transitions in order to reduce carbon emissions and the impact on the environment. And today's event is important because how we work together in the energy sector will be one of the key factors in unlocking and sustaining prosperity and in securing the standards of living that current and future generations will expect. Petrobras recently announced plans to decommission 18 offshore platforms in the next 5 years with an investment of $4.6 billion US. You will hear more detail on this during today's event from the specialists in this area. There are challenges that will need to be addressed, no doubt. Finding cost-effective and innovative solutions is certainly one of them. And the UK industry has developed experience in decommissioning its mature fields in the North Sea. And I believe that we have a lot to contribute to Petrobras and other companies here in Brazil. Subsea, Copy, UFRJ, and Decom North Sea are important and valued partners for the UK government, and particularly for the UK's Department for International Trade. And we are very keen to work together to contribute to tackle Brazil's challenges. Over 200 UK suppliers are already doing business in Brazil in the energy and marine sectors, through agents and distributors, or in producing parts of their products in Brazil, many via a local partner. But we want to engage with Brazil even further, contributing to the development of a local supply chain, bringing in the necessary expertise. And time really is of the essence. The next 30 years will likely see even more profound changes in the energy landscape than we have seen in the preceding century. COVID-19 is having a dramatic impact on global economies, but as countries look to rebuild, it's important that we raise our ambitions for a clean and resilient recovery, meaning that we build back greener and build back better. Brazil's energy matrix is already one of the most diverse in the world, with over 45% coming from renewable sources. And this share is increasing, with exponential growth in solar, in wind, and in biofuels. The UK government has been committed for many years to support Brazilian companies to find strong partners in the UK. A particular focus over the last 5 years has been in the renewable sector, including solar and waste-to-energy projects, in which the UK has globally recognised expertise. The UK is investing £25 million through the UK government's Prosperity Fund energy programme in Brazil to support Brazil's energy transition. This programme, developed with input from Brazil's Ministry of Mines and Energy, started in December of last year and is focusing on 5 energy subsectors: natural gas as a transition fuel, biofuels and biogas, solar, offshore wind, and energy storage. Its goal is to support policy and regulation, increase research and development and innovation, and build capacity and technical assistance to support Brazil's energy transition and enhance energy security and affordability across the country. This programme aims to create the enabling environment that businesses need in order to export and invest with confidence. Further along the road, we see the potential for utilising the offshore skills gained in the deep water oil industry to support the establishment of a thriving offshore wind sector in Brazil. The UK's oil capital, Aberdeen, is now a global hub for new renewable technologies. And I'm very pleased that the British government has an active working group with the Brazilian government to support Brazil's development of regulation for the offshore wind sector. So despite the current challenges, the situation that we currently face, there is plenty of opportunity for growth and reasons for optimism. DIT has a large team of trade specialists in Brazil dedicated to assist British companies to be successful in doing business here, and in turn to support Brazilian companies find quality British partners. This is allied to the products of UK Export Finance, or UKEF, which is the world's first export credit agency. And I know personally that you can count on the excellent and expert energy team based at the British Consulate General here in Rio de Janeiro to support you. I hope that you have a very productive event today and look forward to many more years of beneficial partnership between the UK and Brazil in the energy sector. Thank you very much, muito obrigado, and I will now hand back the microphone to President Portela. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your words, Mr. Tony Preston. Now, I would like to say goodbye to you, wishing we have a very productive webinar and introducing our moderator for today, Daniela Carneiro, Business Specialist for International Trade. Thank you very much, and good luck, Daniela.
Thank you very much, Portela. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending where you are. I'd like to welcome you again and thank you for your participation in this webinar, which will discuss an important topic of decommissioning of offshore assets and subsea structures in Brazil. I'd like to thank Mr. Portela again, President of Subsea, and Mr. Tony Preston, Deputy Consul General and the head of the DIT in Rio de Janeiro, for opening remarks and importantly for sponsoring this event alongside Decom North Sea and the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro's copy team. Thank you also to our supporting partners, the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce in Great Britain, the BritCham in Rio, Scottish Development International, and Subsea UK, who all supported this event as well. As Mr. Portela said, my name is Daniela Carneiro. I'm a business advisor to the DIT's Energy Transition and Clean Growth team, where decommissioning is certainly a key area of focus. I'll be moderating our first session today, but just a quick few housekeeping items. I believe that attendants cannot join through cameras and microphones, but if you do have that facility, keep them off. Questions will be taken at the end of the presentation, so please do feel free to put them in the chat. I'll collate them and address them once all presenters have had the chance to make their presentations. The first session will be led by Mr. Mauro Destri of Destri Consulting, Mr. Marcelo Igor of Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and Mr. Will Rowley, Interim Managing Director of Decom North Sea. Mr. Mauro Destri is a chartered accountant with 3 master degrees in audited accounting, in advanced business management, and in management by projects, the latter 2 by Fundação Getúlio Vargas. He specializes in decommissioning of platforms, lines, pipes, and subsea equipment, as well as well abandonment and logistical and environmental issues. Mr. Marcelo Igor is a mechanical engineer graduated by the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. He has a master's as well as PhD in marine technology by COPI. He is currently a professor and head of the Naval and Ocean Engineering Department at Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Mr. Will Rowley is Interim Managing Director of Decom North Sea, which for over a decade has connected capability with opportunity across the decommissioning sector internationally. Working across the energy sector, renewables, oil and gas, and nuclear, Decom North Sea works to share knowledge, facilitate collaboration, and maximize business potential for members. Through events, communication, and the development and delivery of innovative models and solutions, Decom North Sea strengthens the sector. Decom North Sea's 250-strong membership is drawn from operators, major contractors, service specialists, and technology developers. With decommissioning spend alone being forecast at an estimate 15.3 billion pounds over the next decade, Decom North Sea plays a vital role in solution development, cross-sector learning, and helping to build supply chain capability. Mr. Rowley himself is an internationally recognized and connected energy market specialist of over 22 years experience, who creates and delivers opportunities for strategic growth and structural change and development. He has worked for global service companies and major operators with a focus on integrated service development across major markets. He previously led Infeed Systems, now Wood Mackenzie, and Douglas Westwood, now Westwood Global. I'd like to now invite Mr. Mauro Destri to begin the session with his presentation on business opportunities in decommissioning.
Hi, good morning. Let me share the presentation, please. Can you see the presentation now? It's okay. So guys, first I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity to talk to you, okay, to talk about the interesting opportunities for Decom in Brazil. And in the next few minutes, I try to explain something to you about this kind of opportunities, okay? Let's go. First of all, this is schedule, let's go. First of all, I would like to show you, and I would like to ask you to try to remember that for the next moments, because campus basing, just for you to understand, in 1979, we had just one platform, Garupa. In the decade of 80, now 17 platforms was installed, 17. In the decade of 90, plus 11 platforms was installed. In the next decade, just 5, just 3. So now, as you can see, we have at about 30 platforms with 30 years operating here in campus basing. Okay, 30 platforms. Save that information in your mind. And in the case of from 20 to 2005, for example, we are expecting that 11 platforms should be decommissioned. 11 platforms, okay? And every day, these platforms will be platforms like SES and the FPSOs. Take this information in your mind, please. In 1997, okay, we had just one operator producing in Brazil, Petrobras. Now we can see 38 operators operating here in Brazil, producing here in Brazil, more 3 with partnerships, and more 3 or 4 studying how to buy fields from Petrobras, for example, or in bids from ANP, the regulator from Brazil. So many opportunities, okay, for people that want to offer services and the products for this kind of industry. It is very important to save too. Now, in this slide, you can see something about regulations. Regulations that if you are trying to come to Brazil, okay, and take part of the decommissioning projects, these regulators, these resolutions is the most important that you have to study very well. This one, SGSS, is in Brazilian, but these are regulators, a resolution that talk about subsea systems, operational security, and management system for subsea systems, lines, pipes, umbilicals, equipments, everything in subsea. This other one, SGSO, is for operational safety management systems, is for safety management on site, top site, okay? RTDTs and the RTS GI is just for onshore, but it's important that you try to study too. SGIP is together these others two here, SDSS, DSR, is the most important because talk about well integrity, management systems. When you call something about plug and abandon in the decommission system, you have to follow SGIP. You have to study very well to understand how resolution in Brazil talk about plug and abandon, right? And you have it too. The Brazilian Navy has many resolutions about decommission too. You have to study this too, okay? And the IBAMA has a technical, we call technical notes to decommissioning, and you have to study too. And the 3 guys nowadays in Brazil, okay, talk about resolutions for decommissioning. ANP, IBAMA, and Marinha, Navy, okay? You have to understand, you have to study something about that. And regulations stage from SGIP, well abandonment, as I talked before, SGSR, preparation of topside, inject removal and substructure as well. For example, Navy, Marinha, Navy, decons monitoring, for example, SGSS, system removal subseas, IBAMA, reuse and recycling of structures, and the kind of license, okay, to abandon the fields, to transport, for example, the platforms from the site to onshore, something like that. And interfacing everything, you have the planning and the project management. This is the most important disciplines, but you have another disciplines to talk about the Decom in Brazil. So you have to understand how it functions here, okay? Go ahead. The contract model. The contract model here in Brazil, we're expecting that we will use EPRD, like the rest of the world, I think. Engineer, prepare or plan, remove and disposal, or demolition, or both, okay? This is a contract modality that you expect that the next bids or the next bids in this modality, I think it will the preference from the operators, okay? So this is very important to you to understand. We are expecting ANP from ANP told us that we are expecting to expand, to invest about 28 billion reais, okay, in decommissioning systems from 2021 to 2025. We are talking about plug and abandon to decommissioning about 1,100 wells. And as you can see in the right side of this slide, we are expecting to invest in abandonment at about 19 billions of reais. As you can see, the majority of the investments will be to abandon wells. Opportunities for rigs, opportunities for maintenance topside, opportunities for a supply chain around this kind of process, okay? Equipment removal at about 9 billion is very important too, and the others one. But you have to understand that with this kind of budget, 28 billions, okay, it put Brazil in the third position of decommissioning in the world, okay, just behind Mexico and the North Sea. That's why Brazil nowadays is very important for the supply chains, okay, even for that you used to be here in Brazil talking about decommission. To start the decommissioning, a process of decommissioning here in Brazil, we have to present to ANP, the regulator, okay, the regulator, a process that you call PDI, Project Decommission Installations. So in this kind of project, we talk about how we will decommission it, when we will decommission it, okay, amount, length, something like that. So this is very important. And nowadays, for offshore, we have 22 PDIs approved from 21 to 2005. Remember, 28 billions. We have 7 PDIs partially approved. We have 5 in analysis, and waiting for answers, we have 2. And for onshore, this is for offshore, and for onshore, 35, 4, 2, 1. This is very important to understand that maybe we have 22, 29, 34, 37 assets being decommissioning in the next years, okay, in the next few years. Partnerships. Are partnership necessary? Just one company has the skills, the competencies to do every decommissioning system. We need own expertise, subsea removal, ROV services, engineering and design, heavy lifts, planning and cost estimating, integrating of areas, including supply chain, offshore scrapyard, onshore scrapyard, license, platform services, marine and logistics, and integrating everything. We need to have a strategic partnerships. For example, as you can see now, these companies have this kind of company has heavy lift, planning and cost estimate, for example, integration of areas including supply chain and onshore scrapyard. But they do not have engineering design, subsea removal, platform. So what this kind of company will need? Partnership. And partnerships, Brazilians, located in Brazil, or consultants, okay? So this is a big opportunity that you have now in Brazil. And I just take some bullets to you, right? Because for this opportunity, just for you understand, you have 29 annexes. 29 annexes that you have studied. Take time to study before you send your budget, your proposal. Okay? Pay attention, please. Hiring procedure, designed by open dispute modes, one company or partnerships. Beginning of proposal delivery. It started December 4th and it will be the end on March 4th. Pay attention. Questions and doubts about this contracting process. Very important, because only if you have some doubts, you have only until next Friday, February 12th. The modeling will be APRD, we talked about before. The sale contract of scrap generated in the respective EPRD contract. Participation of companies organized in the form of a consortium. It's very important to you. Okay? The bidding will be divided in two non-exclusive lots and one integrated lot. Lot A is for flexible lines plus scrap acquisition. Lot B, anchor system plus scrap acquisitions. And lot C integrate the two other lots. So you can take part with one lot, another lot of the two lots. But please pay attention in the 29 annexes. Right? Yeah, this All-Sub opportunity, where a subsea warehouse, All-Sub, almoxarifado submarino, it takes part for the Area 22, pay attention, Area 22 of PGID in campus base. PGID means Decommissioning Projects for Disabled Installations. This is just the top of iceberg. This is Area 22, but you have more in the work there, 21 areas, right? This is just the top of iceberg, this Area 22. Did you mind? Right. All sub areas. The subsea warehouses of Corvina, Pardo, A and B, and Garopinha, just 3 areas, were used by Petrobras as support areas for EP activities for temporary storage of flexible pipelines, hydraulic control umbilicals, electro-hydraulic control umbilicals, power electric cables and optical cables, henceforth called just flexible lines, and anchorage systems. Top of iceberg, okay guys? And what we have there? We have about 1,100 section amounts, estimated length, okay, 1,000 kilometers. Estimated weight, about 56,000 tons, okay? The subsea warehouse, as I told you before, Covina Park in Garupinha. The typology to be flexible lines. The areas in square kilometers, 134, 69, 55. Distance to coast is very important, okay, for your budget. 65, 65, 50. And in the subsea, we have about amount sections. 483, 76, 558. Very important to understand too. Estimated lengths, okay, 376, 93, 5013. Estimated weight, very important too. This is just parts of the total that I told you before. Very important, this slide for you, all right? I think so. And 29 annexes should be studied. So this is just abbreviations, okay, for Decom that I talked before. I think I will take it to you. And now, thank you very much. My name is Mauro Des, and if you need some support, please do not hesitate to contact us later. Thank you, Flavia. Thank you, Veronica. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Destri. I think that was an excellent presentation, very useful in outlining, I think, some of the key aspects of the opportunities in offshore decommissioning, the business environment. So the regulatory aspects, which of course are very, very important and detailed. And as you say, companies should be well advised to study before they get into it. But also noting that it's worth, given the size of the prize and the amount of opportunities that we have. So of course we have lots of challenges from a regulatory perspective, but also from an operational perspective. But there is a big prize there. I noted with interest you highlighting the importance of partnerships, which is at the core of what the DIT does in terms of trying to bring together the expertise from UK companies and overseas companies to a common objective, trying to foster this trade. But you're absolutely right that nobody will have individually the expertise to tackle all these challenges alone. So getting hands together is really a case forward. So thank you very much for that very, very valuable presentation.
Hello, everyone. Daniela had a technical problem, so I'm here to assist. I think we can continue with the program. So I'll pass this on to Marcelo Igo from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, who will talk about a multi-criteria decision analysis for decommissioning of subsea structures and opportunities for flexible pipe removals. Marcelo, over to you.
Thank you, Flavia. Let me share my screen here. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here to talk to this in this very interesting webinar. I will present to you some of the researches that we have been doing here at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. We will also talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we identified during this research, which is more related to flexible pipes removal. Before starting, I wish to thank Flavia and Daniela for the kind introduction, and also congratulate Destry for his very interesting presentation, very comprehensive presentation. It's always very good to be with him in a webinar. So as an overview of what I'm going to present, we used to divide the decommissioning in Brazil in different 3 phases, right? The first phase is related to the well plug and abandonment. This phase is not always do not start with the final phases of the field. It all happens all over the field life. And represents most of the cost in the decommissioning. We also have platform removal, and also we have the work related to the removal of the subsea structures and infrastructure of the fields. One interesting thing here in Brazil is that our offshore fields, they are based on very large amount of subsea infrastructure, which is sometimes different from what happens in other basins around the world. Here in Brazil, we based our developments due to the kind of reservoirs that we have here in infrastructures with satellite wells, and mainly for the fields to be decommissioning with all the flow lines and infield pipes based on flexible pipes. But we also have so we have a lot of flexible pipes to decommissioning, but we also have subsea equipments like large manifolds from up to 400 tons of weight, and we also have pipelines, rigid pipelines, based on rigid pipes and risers. So the work that I'm going to present is more related to the research we are doing to define, to develop a methodology for the more robust comparative assessment for the decommissioning of this infrastructure. So when we talk about flexible and rigid pipes, we're talking about rigid pipes that are mainly based on carbon steel, and they have a small amount of polymers for coating protection. And when we talk about flexible pipes, we are talking about structures that are that has a lot of steel, carbon steel, and also stainless steel. But there is also a large amount of polymers in these structures. So the typical decommissioning scenarios, we will see some of the risers with invasive species like sun coral. We also may have some situations where we have norm deposits in this subsea infrastructure. When we talk about manifolds, plats, we have from small plats and manifolds to large manifolds like this one shown in the picture. And these structures, they have removable parts, but they are mainly made of carbon steel and some removable electronics. So when we are talking about the comparative assessment or multi-criteria decision analysis, we are the main objective is to providing the PDI document that Destry was talking about, the assessment of the different alternatives that we have for decommissioning of this subsea structure. As shown in this slide, you can see that we have several options depending on the type of equipment that will be removed. And each one of these options will have different impacts, like environmental impacts, costs, related costs, and all these things. And we need to put all of these into consideration to decide or to point out what are the best options for that decommissioning. And to do it, this process is usually based on 5 criteria, which are technical, environmental, and societal, and safety and economic criteria. And all of them has to be, and all these decisions, they have to be made based on and respecting the laws and the standards for this. We have some guidelines, international guidelines, that point out how to conduct a comparative assessment. And we also, here in Brazil, we have our own regulation, like the resolution 817 that was recently published, that has to be followed, and will define that this resolution also defines these 5 criteria as the minimum criteria to be presented in the PDI for the comparative assessment. So what did we do at the university as a research for this? We were looking into the more simple comparative assessment, that is the standard that is being used out all over the world. And we are looking into what can we improve in this methodology, what can we add to this to make this decisions more robust. 2 key aspects that we are looking at is to consider uncertainties in this evaluation, and to determine the influence of the weights that we use for each criteria in the final decision. To do so, we decided to move from a more simple comparative assessment, which is simple and cost effective, but may keep some doubts for the decision makers. So we decided to improve these and evaluate the analysis for a more robust MCDA analysis, which is more complex and then can consider the perception of each decision maker, and has robust results in terms of weights, and can use what we call the preference functions. There is different types of MCDA in the literature. We decided to use one called Promethi to do this assessment. But what is this preference functions that I just mentioned? This is a way that we can that can help us to decide what is more important and do this comparison. For a simple example, you can see this case in the screen here, where, for example, we want to remove flexible pipes from the seafloor. And we have 2 options. We can use a reverse reeling with a PLSV vessel, or we can use a more simple vessel and do cut and lift, for example. And once we compare the cost of each option, we found out, this is just an example, right? That the cost is $1 million for this one, and $1 million and $1 for the second one. So if we just look at the numbers, we will say that this second option, the reverse reeling, is more expensive than the other one. But what is, for an oil company, $1 in 1 million will be a real difference. So if we use a more robust MCDA analysis, we can define these preference functions that will tell you where and how much difference between the options we can consider as differentiation for the score. So in this case, for example, we can we can say to the algorithm that we can that the difference will be only significant if the difference is higher than the $200,000, and then we basically consider both options as equal. Also, talking a little bit about the uncertainties and also how we use this MCDA in our analysis, I will use a very simple case here, that is the Cação field, that is the first field decommissioning here in Brazil that is ongoing right now. I will take one of the pipelines, that a rigid pipeline of 6 inches diameter that goes from this field to shore, and I will analyze this with these methodologies that I'm presenting. I have used it as reference the decommissioning PDI that was provided by Petrobras to the agency, and is a public document, and also used some guidelines that were developed by DNV for Brazilian scenarios. We considered in this simple as example 4 options for decommissioning: reverse SLA, cutting and lifting, leaving this in situ without intervention, and recovery the exposed sections and rock dumping and the pipe ends. The list of criteria, as I said, we used the same 5 criteria that is suggested by the regulations, and also we used some list of sub-criteria that were suggested by DNV in their work. To assess the weight differences between the different criteria, we considered 3 scenarios here in this simple example. The first one, we used a method that is called the CMOS method, where we can assess the opinion of the stakeholders, and we used this in a simple example here with 3 experts. And this is the list of weights that they provided us with this analysis, which has the environmental criteria as the most important one. We also used the same weights between criteria and the same weights between sub-criteria to compare the results. As I said, during this research, we have been looking for a strong cooperation with the stakeholders. We have developed several seminars involving people from different areas in Brazil that will have some relation with decommissioning. And all these opportunities, they were implemented in our methodology, and all the opinion from the stakeholders were taken into consideration. Also, we have developed some seminars to check with the stakeholders what would be the best distribution of weight between criteria in different scenarios. For that scenario that I mentioned, this is the initial results from the Prometheus analysis. In these graphics, you can see the performance of the different criteria that were analyzed, and the area of this gray form here tells us which options have better performance. So in these results, we can see that cut and lift was the worst solution and the worst alternative in this analysis, and also we have leaving situ and rock dumping as good options. Also, reverse SLA had intermediary results. This is the kind of result that we can provide. We can easily check with a graphic like this the influence of the different criteria in colors here to the final decision. So once the alternatives that perform better will have a higher number here, and the ones that perform worse will have a better worse number here. And those that points upwards, they are the ones that perform better, and the ones that points downwards perform worse. We can see here a strong influence in the decision based on the technical and social criteria for this analysis. This is another type of result that we can provide. We can we can see that what are the influences of the weights. If we change the weights of the environmental criteria, will it change our decision, or this decision is strong? In this case, for example, the alternative, the option of living in situ was strong enough, even if we change the environmental solution. We can also consider uncertainties in this in the analysis that we do for each sub-criteria. For example, in a simple example here, we defined a most likely grade for each of the sub-criteria and the minimum and maximum grades, and we decided to use, and we used a triangular distribution of probability. With a Monte Carlo simulation on top of the Prometheus simulation, we can provide a solution, a result like this, where we can see the different weight distributions and the influence of the uncertainties. In this case, we can see that living in situ was the option that performed well, independently of the uncertainties and the weight distributions. So the MCDA benefits are to support to find balanced and widely accepted solution, facilitates discussion between stakeholders, and helps finding common sense. It also clarifies points of agreement and disagreement, which is very interesting for a discussion between its stakeholders. Conclusions for this part of my presentation: the key stakeholders' contributions. We are looking into incorporating our methodology the opinion of the stakeholders. We want to search for a consensus in these definitions. We want to make it easy for the decision makers to understand what is the problem and identify everything. Finally, in this second part of my presentation, that I will try to hurry up because my time is ending, I will just show you very quickly the flexible pipe decommissioning opportunities that we raised in this analysis, because cost is one of the criteria, and we want to look into a little bit further in the cost analysis that we do for the PDI. In this case, we decided to compare two options for removal of flexible pipes. One is using a typical solution that is a PLSV, that is a vessel that was developed for installing and removal flexible pipes. It's a very strong with strong track record solution here in Brazil. We use this a lot. This is the main solution that we use for flexible pipe decommissioning. But we also want to look into the options of using lower cost vessels like PSVs, OSVs, and AHTS with some rented equipment on the top side, on the deck, to do this removal. This type of solution, they have different types of equipment that can be used. We can do cutting parts of the flexible pipes and install them on the deck. We can also use some solutions that are based on reels that are installed in the deck of the vessel for doing the reverse reeling solution. What are the benefits or advantages of this? We can have a successful solution with track record outside Brazil, so it's interesting to be assessed for an opportunity here in Brazil. It has possible cost reductions due to the low daily rates of the chartering of these vessels are reduced compared to the PLSV. And we have additional equipment available for rent, more vessels available in Brazil, and may not require a specialized support base on shore if we use cutting tools like this one in this picture. But it may require additional days for preparation of the vessel, and the vessel hydrodynamics must be understood to check if they are suitable for these operations. We did a very simple comparison using a very initial assessment using a a pipe with 16 inches and a flexible pipe with 6 inches. This one as a representative of a very large diameter pipe, and this one as a infilled pipe, which is very common here in Brazil, and there is a lot in the All-Sub there to be removed. We based our assessment in a simple PSV with this infrastructure installed in the top side with one tensioner of 50 tons capacity. And we analyzed this situation with the same operational limits for the PLSV, so we can compare both solutions. We checked it, we used the same environmental loads, and we applied these simulations to check for the limits of the pipes. The results show that when we compare both, when we check the results of our analysis, we see that the PSV or OSV vessel is suitable for flexible pipe decommissioning offshore Brazil without any significant water depth limitations. The limitations in these operations would be more related to the capacity of the tensioners. In this case here for the 16 inches pipes, if we use one tensioner of 50 tons, it will be the limitations will be to 200 meters water depth, which is the case of the All-Sub, for example. Finally, we did a very brief cost estimation, a comparison between these two options for the 16 inches pipe. We consider a simple scenario if 10 kilometers of flexible pipe to be removed with sections of 2 kilometers, distance from base is 100 kilometers and 200 meters of water depth. If we look at the PLSV assessment, we will see a cost of $1.25 million for doing this operation. There is this is a list of times. I don't have time to pass through it, but you can check this later in the presentation. And if we compare this with the solution for the PSV, we can see that this solution is cheaper or has a cost, it's more cost effective in our initial assessments. Of course, this is a preliminary assessment. There is a large impact here. We can see that we need 4 trips from the location of the pipes to the base with the solution, and only 1 trip with the PLSV. But the PLSV needs more time in the base to remove the pipes. So there is some differences here. But in the end, due to the chartering of these vessels is being much smaller, than we saw that there is a large potential for using this type of solution here in Brazil for a more cost-effective decommissioning of flexible pipes. Final conclusions. We use of reduced cost vessel seems to be feasible for Brazil. Our preliminary cost estimations indicate good advantages for this solution, especially for smaller diameter pipes. But additional costs and time required to prepare the vessel for operation must be confirmed, because we don't have much track record of these operations here in Brazil. Thank you very much. Sorry for passing a little bit of my time.
Thank you very much, Igor. Thank you. I think that was a very, very interesting presentation. It's interesting that a lot of it is about managing uncertainty. It's about managing risk and the importance of the perception of risk in the decision-making process, because risk is not absolute. Each person will look at it from a different perspective. I enjoyed seeing Monte Carlo simulation in your presentation, because it's something that I worked with in previous lives to support investment decision analysis. But I think it's at the end of the day, it's about understanding the situation in Brazil, understanding the technicality, understanding the operational aspects, understanding what is the risk profile, and then how you can best then make the decisions to support sort of the way forward, the actual decommissioning of the asset or the repurposing of the asset for whatever else it may be. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I would like to now invite Will Rowley to talk to us about offshore decommissioning in an energy transition world, which is a very, very important topic at the moment. Will, you there? I think that we just had an issue with Will for the minute. It seems like his internet may have dropped. Hopefully he'll come back. He'll come back shortly. Please bear with us. These are the things that happen in live events in these times of high technology. Well, meanwhile, Will is joining us. I just wanted to reiterate that, as Tony Preston mentioned earlier, the DIT has a extensive team in Brazil supporting on decommissioning as well as the energy transition matters. We also have a team here in London, but we are certainly at the looking forward to helping British companies find ways of coming into the Brazilian market, find opportunities into the Brazilian market, supporting them with introduction, supporting them with understanding how to navigate the market, and directing them in the direction of specialists in subject matters like taxation, regulatory, etc., etc. We're here to point companies in the right direction. At the same time, Brazilian companies, please feel free to let us know when you're looking for partners in the UK. If we can be able to assist you, that's what we're here for, and we'll be delighted to do so. It seems like Will may have just joined us, so let me just confirm that, and hopefully we'll have his presentation. Will? I think we may still be having connection issues. Will, can you open your camera, please, if you're online? I think that Will's having some serious connection issues. Okay, well, meanwhile, we wait for Will to arrive. Perhaps we can just kick off with a couple of questions for our two previous speakers, Mr. Mauro Destri and Mr. Marcelo Igor. So one question that has come about a few times is about the opportunity to convert existing facilities into carbon capture storage before decommissioning is made. I guess it would be really interesting to hear from you, Professor Igor, in terms of any technical aspects, but also from you, Mr. Destri, on any sort of business aspects that it may involve. Please, Mr. Igor, would you like to start?
Okay. Yes, I've been seeing very well succeeded cases of carbon capture conversion of these subsea assets, especially in UK. Here in Brazil, we have limited research on doing this. Most of the research that I've been seeing here in Brazil to reuse this infrastructure, especially the jackets and the steel jacket platforms, fixed platforms, is for renewable energy generation. Some of these platforms, they seems to be a good opportunity for installing windmills on the top of these structures if they have integrity enough to support this type of equipment after these long lives of operations. The problem that is related to this is that not always the location of these platforms is the best locations for the wind farms. So in some of the cases, the reuse of these installations will have limited opportunities because the region where they are installed are not the best locations for the wind farms. But even though in some cases, especially in northeast of Brazil, can be a good opportunity for this type of opportunity.
Thank you. That's very helpful, and it's interesting, of course, that here it's something that in the UK we are looking a lot at the repurposing of facilities and how can we leverage the existing facilities that are being decommissioned into an integrated clean economy, energy economy. So it's certainly a topic where there is a lot of opportunity for transfer of knowledge and expertise and discussion. I believe there's a lot that we can add to that. Mr. Destri, would you like to say a few words?
So I think you have to understand that talk later than Marcel is so difficult because he talk everything that we usually have to talk, okay? But I tried just to say something. We have a resolution here in Brazil, that regulate the decommissioning systems, right? And then the basic case for this one is that you have to remove all from the sea. Marcelo told before in his presentation, talk about the comparative assessment, how we need to study, okay, the alternatives to decom for any structures, subsea structure and topside structures too. This comparative assessment should be have with somebody that understand how function the resolutions, technical notes, the regulators here in Brazil, and has to understand how functions our sea from north to south. And then doing the comparative assessment, they will choose, okay, they will choose the best alternative for platforms, for lines, pipelines, manifolds, plane, plat, everything. We can keep there, we can remove from one side and to carry it to another side closely or far from, right? We can use as artificial reefs. We can use as wind farms. We can do everything we want in Brazil. But first of all, we have to understand the resolutions, the notes. You have to understand ANP, IBAMA, NAVE. You have to understand the regulators in the states. Okay, how can I say municipio? Jesus Christ, in English, help me.
I don't know.
Okay, no problem. The resolutions for the mayors, okay, for example, the mayors, something like that. And you can do everything you think, we think that after studying too hard, you will understand that is the best, the better for that situation. Okay?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's it's very important also to note, as you highlighted, that there is a base case regulatory requirement for full removal, and then everything, I guess, interconnects with the multi-criteria decision analysis that Professor Igor was alluding to earlier. So it's a complex issue. It's not a simple solution, but I think it's got to be a sort of a multidisciplinary approach to kind of understanding really what the opportunities and the options are. So thank you very much for that. One interesting question is just one of scale, because there's so much to do. And one of the questions was, with 1,117 wells in 4 years, how many rigs are planned for the execution of any one at any one time?
I think Destry can answer this one better than I.
Yeah, no problem. 1,000. Yes, 1,000 wells.
Yes.
You think that's a short time, but remember, we are talking about 1,100 wells on and offshore. Of course, 1,100 wells just offshore. Nobody in the world can do that. Okay, in four years. But onshore, we can do that. But the opportunities for onshore and the opportunities for offshore are the same. Of course, you have levels of investments, of course. Okay, the investment offshore is higher than the onshore, but the opportunities are there. Opportunities for rigs, for platforms, for the supply chains around these opportunities. Okay, we need to understand that 1,100 wells, look it as opportunities, but challenges opportunities. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Another question that perhaps you'd like to address, Destry, is around the Repetro, which, as you know, is a sort of a tax scheme that gives preferential benefits to equipment temporarily imported in Brazil for specific purposes in the oil and gas sector. And the question is there a strategy? What is the strategy in Brazil regarding Repetro equipment for decommissioning? Is it treated in a specific manner, or I suppose the question is in a different manner from other types of equipment?
Different manners of the time of the equipment, because you have equipment that we have Repetro, and we have equipment that we do not have more, right? Mm-hmm. But Repetro here in Brazil, I think that's a question pacified. How can I say? For example, if I have nowadays, okay, how it functions nowadays, for example, if I have a satellite 3, okay, that has Repetro, right? We remove it and we talk about with the regulators, okay? And so if you destroy it, I just finished the process of Repetro, no problem. But we can re-export, okay? Leave it to outside again, no problem. I have to pay all the tributes about it. And I can reintroduce it in the other well, right? I will use it again in the other well. I go into the federal agents, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about it, and just change the location, change the field, and it still be Repetro. Mm-hmm. So Repetro, nowadays, for those who understand how it functions here in Brazil, is an opportunity, not a challenge. But for those that not understand how to function here in Brazil, it's a big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's thank you. I think it's again kind of understanding the environment, understanding the regulation, understanding the country and the ways of doing business is really the name of the game. I just would like to give a quick update that unfortunately, because Will Rowley is having some internet issues at the moment, he will have to join the subsequent panel. He won't be able to join us now, so he's trying to sort out his internet, as even happened earlier with me. These are the things that happen on live events. Hopefully, we'll have him be able to attend that. So I'll just carry on with the questions that we started. So one of the questions was well, actually, sorry, let me go back. A question that comes over and over again is whether the presentations will be available. I don't yet have a firm answer for that, but I will put my email address on the chat. And if we can't give a firm indication by the end of today, feel free to send me an email directly, and I'll make sure that I can get back to you. So I'll put my email on the chat. Now, in the meantime, another question that has cropped up is whether there'll be opportunities for asbestos consulting and serving companies for the decommissioning. So how do you both see the opportunity for asbestos consulting in the decommissioning space in Brazil?
Ashley, do you want to answer that one?
Okay, no problem. So I do not understand as well for what type of companies, sorry.
Asbestos consulting.
Okay. As I showed you before in one slide, you can see any disciplines, many of disciplines that you need, okay, to answer in a decommissioning process. Remember that? Okay, there I showed, of course, I do not show every disciplines, but one that talk about asbestos. Of course, you have opportunities here, but you have to look for, like that slide, the companies, the kind of services, maybe the companies that need your kind of consultant. Look for it, okay? Understand the process. First of all, have to understand all of the process. After that, you see that you have opportunities, and so you look back for the companies that will be waiting for your kind of consultants. Okay? Answer it?
I think that's very helpful. Thank you. And any specific questions that anybody still has, please do feel free. I think that Destry put his contact details earlier up on the screen. Also, please do feel free to contact us, the team at Sobena, as well as DIT. I'm trying to put my contact details on the chat, but I can't seem to find a way of doing it just yet. So we'll try to get that done before the end of the program. Another question, which I think is also for you, Destry, is in terms of would a UK entity be required to set up a Brazilian entity to bid on work? Or can you bid as a foreign entity?
To bid one kind of this opportunity, I think they are talking about Alsub, correct?
I would have thought so.
I think so. To bid one kind of this opportunity, I think that I recommend that should be one company. Remember that slide? That slide is so expressive. In that slide, I think that you have to be a company that has the majority of skills and competencies. For example, what will be the resource that we use more in this kind of bid? Boat, especially boat to remove the lines, anchorage, something like that. Boats, and the boats, okay, coming to onshore, we need a harbor. So the company that has one of the biggest discipline, I think that should be the company that will enter in the bid. But we all consultants, we all that I can sell to you, for example, compressors, okay, to put light on the top of the platform because all the equipment there will be turned off. We need a compressor. So this company, okay, will be the partnership. Remember the partnership, it will be the partnerships. So it's what I recommend. And if we have time, I have one question for my friend Marcelo, but later.
I have one more question that I'll put to him, and I'll go back to you. I think that would be really, really good. And again, you know, the partnership, I think, is crucial in all this. And do feel free to reach out to the DIT to support in creating and fostering and trying to navigate UK companies through these finding partnerships in Brazil. I have a question for Professor Igor, which is whether you could talk about the Coral Sol issues during the decommissioning. If the decommissioning of the Coral Sol can also be done in the shipyard.
Yes, it's a good question here in Brazil. What happens is that we have a lot of offshore structures that has some coral in their structures, especially risers and floating structures like FPSOs or jackets near the sea level. And there is a strong there is a strong following from IBAMA in all this spread of this invasive species in the coast of Brazil. And unfortunately, we have records of this invasive species in several parts of our coast. For that reason, IBAMA is following very closely the movements of these ships that are to be decommissioned into shallow waters in Brazil. And if the region where the shipyard that are to decommission in these structures, if that region has no records of some coral, it will be very hard to see this happening. I mean, the vessel being brought with some coral to that region where it can spread the invasive species.
Yeah.
Of course, there is some other areas in Brazil, like the bay here close to Rio de Janeiro, where we have some regions where the sun coral is already present there. And I'm not saying that this is, if they have some coral there, this will be enough for them to be, for these shipyards to be available for decommissioning, but I'm sure that IBAMA will look differently for the regions where you don't have any record of some coral and the regions where you already have these invasive species spread in that area. But of course, a lot of environmental assessment for the impact of this has to be conducted, and therefore this is certainly a limitation here.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that, again, it goes back to the risk and uncertainty and the fact that you need to go on a case-by-case basis and understand each asset, because the decommissioning solution is not going to be uniform. There will be slight variations for each of them. I'll need to start bringing our time to a close. But I'm conscious that Destre has got a final question, which is, as we say in Brazil, to fechar com chave de ouro, to close it with a golden key. So we have the opportunity to hear that.
So I make a question to my friend Marcelo, and I will finalize my intervention. Marcelo, my question is, you have the commissioner for all subs, right? Warehouse. And remember, guys, it's just the top of the iceberg. Okay. Let's talk about if I win the bid. So now I am the supply that has the opportunity to remove it. You think we have space to make a CR, a comparative assessment, okay? To, for example, keep something there in situ, or if the bid is removal, everything, okay, we should remove. You think that there are space for that to do a comparative assessment? And finalizing, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much again for this opportunity for Subena and then you all girls. We usually say in Brazil, meninas, that you made a show for us. Okay, Marcelo, thank you very much for your company here. Okay, see you later. Of course, I will see you later.
Thank you, Destry. It's an interesting question. Actually, the comparative assessment will not be performed by the companies that will participate in the bid for the removal, right, of these structures. This comparative assessment is part of the job that the oil companies that owns the equipment has to provide to the agencies, to the regulators here in Brazil, so they can approve. Today, what is in the resolution from ANP is that the base case is for removal of all the structures. So this is clear there, but of course, when we do a comparative assessment, this is something that I wish to make it very clear. We cannot anticipate what is the best solution. I mean, when we do that, we must compare all the solutions based on the criteria that we put together. And in the end, we will have this assessment will give you a list of what is the best, the best performant alternative and the worst performant alternative. But this doesn't mean that the best performant alternative will be feasible. Because it may not be feasible because some of the aspects were not considered in the comparative assessment, or because the law do not allow you to do that. So, but I don't think, and this is my opinion, that the comparative assessment should, before being done, consider that this or that option are better. We must put everything in the comparative assessment and have this as a base for the discussion with the regulators to check what are the best options for each individual case. It will be a different solution for a different alternative for each situation. Well, thank you again, Daniela and Destry, for the company here. It was very interesting to participate in this webinar. Please feel free to contact me also if you have any other doubts. I'm available, and we will share our presentation through the Subena website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Igor, and thank you very much, Destry. I think that was a really, really good discussion that we just had, with a lot of thinking and very practical information also being shared. Just so that the audience know, I have had confirmation that the presentations will be available. Please contact the Subena website. The email for requesting the presentations will be available on the Subena website. And if you have any issues, please do let us know. Do try to contact the Subena directly. They'll be fine to provide that. I still can't put my contact details on the chat, but that may change later as I'll be available to you. So thank you again very much. I'd like to now introduce the next session. of the webinar, which will continue looking at innovative solutions. Hopefully, Will Rowley of Decom North Sea will be able to join that, and which will be moderated by Professor Igor now. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Have a wonderful afternoon or morning, and I'll pass it over now to Professor Igor to kick off the next set of discussions. Thank you again, Destry and Professor Igor. Thank you, everyone.